And we're back once again. You thought that you were done with us for the night. You were very much not. We are back for the next episode of A Conversation with Kely.
And I'm in a new location.
Yes, new location. So it works out. It works out. We're in a new location. We have 2 guests on, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But of course, we're going to be talking about the final full week of the Circle, because obviously this week is only 1 episode because it's the finale. But there's a lot of stuff to talk about. Interesting week that went down. Before we do get into that, we do have pretty good panel today. I think a pretty good panel for sure. I mean, one person's a good panel. The other one, I don't know why he keeps coming on my channel, but we have someone who's been here a lot, and he keeps coming on. I don't know why he's here, but he's here. Andrew Hayes, how you doing?
I'll tell you exactly why I'm here, because you keep on asking me to be here, and I know that I provide good entertainment, so this is for the people. So that's exactly why I'm here, because you want me here, because you know that Andrew Hayes equals views. I don't know if that's exactly true or not, but that's what I'm gonna go with.
Given the fact we have 0 viewers right now, I don't know if that's the case.
Well, just give it a second. Just give it a second. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And
all right. Speaking of, that's going to be our podcast today. But speaking of that, we have another guest with us, someone that I'm very excited to have on here. She is one of the nicest people in this entire community. Very good friend of mine. Here she is, Chrissy.
What up,
What's
internet?
up? It's great to have you on here. I've wanted to have you on these for a while, but before we get into this week overall, just what have you guys been thinking of this season of The Circle? Do you like it? All that kind of stuff.
I love it. It's great. It's different from the first season in some ways. Like there's a lot more like cutthroat strategy that I'm seeing, and a lot more like what they would call like tactical voting, whereas not as much like, I don't know, voting on the
emotion, the
merit of just like I kind of liked that in the first season, but now like I kind of like this dimension as being a little different. Like it depends on what you're in the mood for. Yeah. And it's cool that this particular group is together for this, because in the past when Christian and Kely have played games, it's been tough to be like a known pair being close. And I think there are some pairs in this house or in this apartment that are really, really at odds. And I would like to see how that plays out next week.
Yeah, definitely.
I overall like it, but I do have some major issues with this season that I'll get into, I guess, a little bit later when we talk about, especially like the final episode. But overall, I do like it. There are people that are who have made it to the final 5 that I do enjoy. I don't like it as much as season 1 because I just felt like overall, again, and I'll get into it a little bit more in depth, but just the characters or the contestants in season 1 just I felt like had a little bit more to them in terms of like a story and just personalities, and just some of the people in this season just weren't quite working for me. But overall, I do like it. It's still fun. But we'll get into it a little bit more when we get to it.
Yeah, so I'll give my thoughts. I mean, I've really been enjoying the season a lot. I think this is easily the weakest week that we've had so far. There's a lot that goes down this week that I wasn't really a big fan of, not even just game-wise, just certain things that happen that I just was not particularly a huge fan of. There's definitely some good stuff that happens. I think it gets a lot better in the last 2 episodes, but the first 2 we're talking about are a little rough to me. They're probably the only 2 episodes of the season I legitimately have not liked. But I'll just get into right now. So first thing to talk about, we had this twist last week with Jack and Lisa. They're given the chance to have a new profile. They feel that with them both being different ages, they're going to be able to pull this off. Their new profile, they name him John. He's a 64-year-old psychic from like West Virginia, where one of my crazy exes is from. He's also a person
ex from West Virginia.
Yeah, I do have one. She's I don't want to get into it.
Oh my god!
He's been married 38 years to his partner, Terry. They also decided that he's very good at cooking and improv classes, and they're told that he's going to be joining the circle tomorrow. And what do you guys think of this John twist? Do we like it, not like it? What do you guys think?
I feel like it should. I just feel like the twist, if they were going to have this, they should have had it with people more entertaining, like Savannah and Terilisha.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Like, I feel like I love Jack.
Like
I've met Jack, good kid, but like, I don't know, how is that fair to like maybe I'm biased because Terilisha was my favorite, but I'm like, how is that fair? Like, they didn't get to come back. Like, they would have been the two of them together after all their shit. Like,
it would have been so good.
So I just don't know how fair it was, like that not everybody else got that chance. Like, I know in the UK one, I remember if you guys watched that, like the orange tally thing.
I have not yet.
That was okay.
However, Marcelo and Jen had so many references last week that I pretty much have to watch it now.
Well, as someone who has watched the whole season in full, the whole UK season 3, they actually do use this twist in that season. And while I do think it works better in the UK version, I think that's only because they have more time to just kind of, I guess, mess things up or to work, and that's why it's more impressive. While with this, there isn't really a lot of time, and that's, I think, my main issue with this season. It felt like there wasn't a lot of time to develop things.
And they kind of just skated into the finale, right? Like,
pretty much, yeah. And it's
having
really,
this.
I will say this: I do think, I'm going to be honest, I did really like Jack and I did really like Deleesa when they were both Emily and Lance Bass, but
I didn't really like
I can clearly see that they definitely weren't the most impressive in the game. Even before the whole mannequin thing, I thought Jack was going to go sooner or later because people were already onto him. I just didn't like how he was playing being up the catfish, and then
middle of the road with everything he said.
And
that's he didn't play the way he said he was going to. Like, he said he was going to play like very snaky and villainous, and he really didn't.
Yeah, and that was my issue with Jack as Emily. And obviously Lisa as Lance Bass wasn't working out because I thought it was pretty obvious that Lance Bass wasn't in the game. But I thought when they got together and ended up becoming John, their games became. You could see that their games improved. I guess a fire kind of just got lit underneath them, and they just there was a vast improvement in their gameplay, in my opinion. So I kind of liked the twist in that aspect where you could see that they're playing well. And while they did kind of skate into the finales, I do think that they did work and they did do a good job to get where they are because they obviously built a good relationship with River or Lee. And I just think that, what I enjoyed about this one in particular is that, like, with the UK version, there was never a real difference in, like, they were just, like, while the two people in the UK version, when they came together as their character, they were kind of playing the same. And it was good, but what I liked is that it seemed that Jack and Lisa were trying harder because they did get a second chance.
Yeah.
So that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, and for me, I'm kind of like mixed with it because I think that it's an interesting idea to have two players that were catfishes basically get a second chance. I just don't really feel like in general they did all that much with it because when here, basically everyone else assumes that it's just business as usual. They get the videos from Jack and Lisa, so they already know that they were catfishes, so they get their reaction there. And I do like the idea that they were like in lurker mode. They get to watch everyone talk and get to see like where all the connections were and things like that. But overall, as John, they just don't do much. They don't talk much strategy. They don't do much game-wise. And it's like, I get that they can't really do much because they just came into the game, but also it's like there's only 5 or 6 people left, 6, like 7 or 8 people left. It's like there's not much they can do. It felt like they just kind of did this so you could add an extra week to the season, and I don't think it was necessary.
Yeah, and I think that's more of not like their fault. That's more of, I guess, production's fault.
Yeah,
because in the UK version, there's a lot more episodes. There's a lot more time to kind of just
Sorry.
What happened?
I said with that one, and I didn't even get through it all, but there was a lot more contestants circling in and out. Whereas in this one, you just had Khat, Eddie, or not Eddie, Mitchell, and then these two. Right? Or was he from the last one? Ed.
Ed and his mom was from season one.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. They live like 20 minutes away from me, but yeah, there's that.
But with the UK version, yes, there was a lot more contestants, but in my opinion, it never felt like there was too much going on at once. And I think a big reason of that is because they had so many more episodes. But with this one, it felt like they were kind of just trying to do too much all at once.
Yeah.
So I just think, and this is again, like, I don't know if this is like Netflix saying, oh, you only have 12 or 13 or however many episodes to do the show, or production's like, oh, we only need 12, we only need 13. I would like to see more, because a big reason why I did enjoy the UK version more was because there were more episodes and they gave more time to really like kind of just flesh things out and just kind of like let things play out, and like you got to know the people more and all that kind of stuff. And the reason why I think even in season one there's the same amount of people, but season one didn't feel as rushed. This season does feel very rushed in my opinion.
We kind of just dived headfirst into like all the gameplay.
And I think a big reason, I could be wrong, but there might have been more contestants starting off the game in this season rather than season one. What I think, I could be wrong. I don't know, but I can look it up. But like in season one, it didn't feel like that many people started out. I think there was 8 people that may have started out, maybe even 6. I don't know. But like in season 2, it felt like it just felt rushed and kind of everything was all kind of crammed together all at once.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also because, and like people brought this up, it's a very game body cast. Like this was a cast that wanted to get like right away, and I think that's why some people are having that issue because of that as well. So the big thing to really discuss here, there's 2 points of contention that go down. There's a public chat that occurs. They all talk about who Emily saw, and Chloe says that, she did not see her, that Emily did not see her. And they all expressed that they were about both the catfishes, and basically she was very surprised. And Khat immediately thinks that she's lying here. He doesn't think that Chloe is being very honest about what's going on. Everyone's wondering who they all saw. And I don't know. How do you guys feel about this? With Khat thinking that Chloe was lying, did she look too much into it? I mean, it seemed like those two had a really good run last week. So how did you guys feel about Khat immediately thinking that Chloe was lying?
It was a little messy to me.
Yeah.
So
and then she went right to her 2 allies. Sorry, go ahead, sweetie.
I was gonna say, I don't blame her for thinking that, because obviously, I don't know, like, if River was the one eliminated in that situation, you would have to assume that it was Courtney. So, so why wouldn't you assume that, like, Emily went to go see Chloe? My issue was that, like, she was so persistent on trying to catch Chloe up in a lie.
Yeah.
And she just played her hand way too hard. And
you know really what?
Like, obviously went to the wrong people, and I do think that if like even like you saw like before this, they were trying so hard to catch like Lance Bass as a catfish. Trying so hard, so they were so caught up in
which was easy to do because Lisa was not very good. Which was very easy to do because Lisa was not very good at that.
Yeah, and like so like she was just so caught up in trying to suss people out that like it ruined her game, because like I'm trying to think of the word, but I think she was too
forward.
Not too far. I think she was too stubborn to think that anything else was. She was too stubborn to think too stubborn to think that Emily wouldn't want to go see anybody else.
Yeah, it was really disappointing to see this happen, but we see Deleesa starts a private chat with Mitchell. She's hoping that she can see where his head is at, and she feels that he's a wild card, and working with Trevor is probably best for, working with Mitchell is probably best for her. And they talk about how surprised they were at Emily, and Mitchell says that he feels really good with him in the game. And this is definitely one of the stronger bonds we have throughout this week when it comes to Deleesa. She definitely does need Mitchell in the game. Now, obviously, we have heard some things about Mitchell that are not great that have come out. So I'm not upset with what ends up happening to Mitchell.
I mean, I've never really been a big fan of him. Like, I did think he had like potential, but he just seemed he just gave me a lot of douchey vibes.
So here's my opinion.
What did he do?
He has like a Confederate flag or something.
Yeah, there was an Instagram video that was released, and he had a Confederate flag.
He's from Delco. I mean,
yeah.
Confederate flag's a little extreme. I mean, it's mostly Republican around here, but yeah, that's a little extreme.
But
yeah. I've heard it's not shocking though either because of how Tammy and Ed acted last season. So
like, yeah, that's my thing. I think like obviously like people kind of like liked Mitchell because they're like, oh, they're not as bad as Ed and his mom because they were. I'll say this, they were completely unlikable, and they were easily the weakest people in the cast in season 1.
Yeah.
So
that's what I've heard.
When people were like, oh, Mitchell isn't that bad, they're not as bad as them, but still, like, Mitchell just was boring. Like, I didn't like Mitchell. Like,
he was all right. He talks to, like, when he talks to the screen, he's like, circle chat. Bring my private chat up with Chloe. So, like, you know how they all talk to it in a certain way? His is just like too slow.
Well, it was like what was it? I don't know why, but like in season 1, like when Seaburn or Rebecca would talk to it, like he would be like, when Seaburn would talk to it, he kind of talked to it like a robot, and I just thought it was funny because I'm like,
Seaburn, yeah.
He would be like, circle, please, open chat.
That's great.
My favorite was Saeed. Saeed, like, used the...
Saeed was the best. Saeed.
I will call you.
Oh, my days.
You are my daughter.
Uncle Saeed. Man, Saeed was the best. But, anyway.
I gotta watch these seasons.
I'm telling you.
I still have to finish it. Like, I know how it ends, but I'm like...
Same.
It's 7 episodes behind it, so...
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Like,
yeah.
I loved it so much. But anyway.
Yeah, so then we really get, I think, the big moment of this week.
No.
A downfall for someone that I really was hoping would not spiral. But
this made me very sad.
Khat makes this chat with Courtney and River, calling it the Southern Queens. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think they both felt okay with her at the moment. He tells both of them they both have to be up to something with all the tea that was spilled, and Courtney scoffs at her, saying that she's trying too hard to fit in, and Khat says that she's not sure why Chloe would be excited to meet Emily after the video, especially when Emily was revealed to be a catfish, and she seems to have a lot of doubt. She really wants to see if they feel the same, and of course, they obviously see it as her throwing Chloe under the bus. Why wouldn't they? They're working with her, they're Kardashian and things like that, so... Khat gets the sense how aligned they really are with Chloe. River says it's possible she went to see Mitchell, and Khat says it doesn't make sense. And Courtney is very confused why anyone would lie, and this again just gets her to suss out their connection. And look, the one thing about Khat that I was very impressed by last week is that she's very inquisitive. She was very easily able to recognize, like, oh, Emily's a catfish. Oh, Lisa is not, Lance is not actually Lance. Like, she did a really good job with that. Mm-hmm. But I think here we're seeing the negative side of it, where she's a little too inquisitive. She's looking a little too deep into things. And I think that definitely did end up hurting her here. I will say, though, a lot of people have brought up on Twitter, I did not really like the way Courtney handled this week, though. I think that was way too just like gun-ho about Khat the entire time. And I get why he was about Terilisha last week, because obviously what Savannah said to him, but I just felt he just was doing a bit too much here, and especially the way that he reacted. I didn't really love it. I did not really love it.
Honestly, this week, Courtney was being like Beth on My Brother Canada.
Very much that, yes.
Which one? Oh, Beth.
Yeah,
that's the one that likes both the guys, like is with both the guys.
you gotta watch more. You gotta watch more.
She's kissing like both the guys.
Yes, you gotta watch more. You'll.
And then the other girl's like my age, Tara.
Mm-hmm.
She's all right. I think she's still there, but
I can't tell you.
With the Khat stuff, I was thinking. So when I saw what was going down with her, I was like, "This is a shame," because I've kind of been there. It's like when you play games like we play and you walk into a room and say someone's name and the wrong people are there, and but you're pushing it way too hard to the wrong people. Like she should have read the room. She like, not that I could even speak on what to do. I've not been there, but like would have benefited her.
We've all been there.
Yeah, like, but not, I don't know. I guess this is a harder game.
Oh yeah.
But, you know, like read the room, I guess. I don't know. It like maybe it would have been better to go to like a more less obvious like duo, like maybe tried Mitchell or Trevor, like someone who's a little bit UTR. Like, not that you even know what their styles of play are, but I just think she went too hard to the wrong people.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and it's definitely obviously like it's hard to kind of read the room because you're not looking at people's facial expressions. Yeah, you can't like it's not like I can go to, hey Kevin, you know, let's get rid of Allie, and Kevin's like, oh yeah, let's get rid of Allie, and like, but like I could totally tell.
And what would I do if you said that?
How dare you?
No, sir. No, that's not happening.
Did you just remove him?
Yeah, I put it backstage.
Wow.
I don't even remember what I was saying. That just kind of messed up my moment.
The answer with these two is ridiculous.
But,
basically what Jazzy's saying. Yes, I agree with that very much.
Yes.
Jazzy.
I think, like, I don't know. Maybe it's because it's just my style of play to where, like, I'm not too aggressive to where, like, even if I was trying to talk to River and or Courtney about Chloe, I would have brought up the Emily seeing Chloe situation in a much more subtle way.
Yes.
Rather than it just being, it's got to be Chloe. Emily had to have seen Chloe.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing was, like, I think the other thing with Khat is that she said, like, when she wasn't talking to her, like, she wasn't really trying to target Chloe. She just was like trying to like get clarity of the situation. But the problem is she was targeting Chloe's two closest allies at that point. Yeah. And to them, you say anything negative about Chloe. And I've been in situations like this before where, like, you say anything negative about someone that I'm working with, I assume you're targeting them.
Yeah.
So,
exactly. Like, and you know what? Like, maybe
everyone's good with Chloe.
And again, maybe this is just me because I play a different way. But, like, if I were to wanted clarity on the situation, I probably would have went to Chloe directly and been like, all right, like,
that's what she should have done.
Because, like, I would have been like, hey, listen, I know people are definitely going to think that Emily went to go see you. Like, you know, it's not you. Like, help me. I want to help you clear your name.
Yeah.
And, like, that's what I would have done. Again, like, who knows? Like, I wasn't in that situation. So, like,
I think she definitely could have done that because she did feel really good with Chloe. And let's not forget, she also was, like, the second highest influencer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Last time, and Chloe has been pretty high too. They could have bonded over that.
Exactly. Like, yeah. So, like, that's what I would have done. Again, like, I got to take what I am saying.
Yep.
Yeah. And you know what? Because I think Khat had a lot of potential to be like a great player, and I definitely was like very excited to see Khat after the end of her first episode when she sussed out Emily and sussed out Lance.
Right.
And I was like, oh, you know, this is definitely someone who has definitely a mind for the game. Definitely going to be a really good player. I was very excited to see what Khat can do. And then Yeah.
Oh no, I loved Cash. She was like becoming one of my favorites.
Yeah. Also, we love you, Jazzy.
Love you guys. Love you. I just said we love you guys.
See, Kevin, I told you I brought the views. Remember when there were 0 views before? Now
You're right.
There's no longer 7 views.
And you're bringing some relevance to the conversation because she's
Thank you, Jazzy.
All right.
I don't know, like if I would have. I don't know, like if that were me, maybe I just have bigger fish to fry. It's like, okay, so like she's not telling you if she went. Emily's out the game, like.
Okay, like and again, like I don't know, like I just feel like I feel like this is a game more about building relationships with people than trying to get trying to get people out. So like I would try to I again, like I agree with Chrissy. I would not have tried to go after Chloe based off the fact I have bigger fish to fry. And
she's so great in her high too.
Yeah, and Chloe is definitely someone that would have worked with Khat in mind.
Chloe has a lot of pull in the game still.
And we'll get to that. We'll get to my opinion on that a little bit more later because
you don't like her.
I don't like Chloe.
I love Chloe.
I'll tell you why I don't. What?
I've really warmed up to her.
I'll tell you why I don't like Chloe. When we get to the end.
Yes.
Interesting you don't like her because she's like a Chrissy player. Why don't you like her?
It's not that I don't like her. I just think that if she were to win, because I agree, like Kevin, like I hated her she kind of reminds me of Joey from the first season where I couldn't stand Joey the first time I saw Joey. I go, this guy's a complete dickbag. I would hate to see.
He's Pauly D.
Yeah, but like they obviously show you a lot of stuff from Joey and you warm up to Joey.
Yeah.
They kind of do the same thing with Chloe where like I just kind of found Chloe annoying. But like I kind of did warm up to Chloe, so I don't hate her as much as I did. But if Chloe were to win, which I do think is going to happen, she's out of the 5 people left. She's not the one I would like to see win the least. But there's definitely people that I would like to see win more over her.
Yeah, I get that. Also, I very much this has been like a recurring thing this season. Like anyone that's like been wanting to go hard for someone that isn't Courtney, it hasn't worked out for them, which I think is interesting.
It's very true.
And maybe this is just because like I just like the UK version is just fresh in my mind, but that happened in the UK version too, where. Someone would go hard after somebody and they would like James or whatever who I forget who he was catfishing as, what the name of his catfish was, but James went hard after somebody because James had to, but like still like that threw everybody off. And spoilers if you haven't seen it, but yeah, James does not last very much longer after that. But I digress.
Yeah. Oh, it's you.
I literally thought you were just reading every note.
No.
The players are then given a new alert, and they're told that a new player is going to be entering. And they're exploring the new profile, and Jack and Lisa feel that they're quirky enough to be believable, and they all seem to be excited to be playing with him.
This was very surprising to me. The way that they, at no point in this entire batch of episodes are they like, oh, John's a catfish. John's not legit. Like they really believe that like John is who he says he is. And I don't know if that's credit to how good Jack and Lisa are doing, or if there's just bigger targets out there. But somehow nobody ever is sus of John throughout this entire time.
I feel like he's just like, they just like him because he's just nice.
Yeah.
So, I don't feel like they're winning or anything. I just feel like that's just John. That's the grandpa.
Yeah. So what I again like I said before, I actually kind of liked the whole Jack and Lisa working together and John thing, because I do think they played it well, especially with the use of the fact that they're really playing up the fact that John is psychic.
Yeah,
I mean, I really like the scene where they're doing the whole guessing numbers thing. I thought that was really nice. And then everybody's lying about John guessing the right number because they want to make John feel good. And they really, and I think what they really utilize so well is the fact that they know stuff about these players because they played with them. So they kind of, in subtle ways, reveal stuff without revealing that they're a catfish. So that's why I think they're doing really well, is because, I forget exactly what John said, but they're just certain stuff when he would give people a reading and he would just kind of reveal something to them about a game related. I thought that it was in such a subtle way to where it's not like, how could John have known this unless they're a former player? Because again, in the UK version, people sussed out that the two players were a catfish because they again try to use something from that happened in the game to kind of advantage themselves into the game, but people sussed them out because they're like, how could they, who else could have known this? So
exactly.
So that's why I like it. That whole psychic thing. I think they utilized that really well, and the fact that they were able to avoid getting any allegations of being a catfish.
They did.
Which I like really well.
Yeah.
Mitchell is the first person to message him in the Humble chat, and when Khat greets him, she seems to throw shade at the Joker, which upsets Courtney.
Which again, like, I don't know why she's like this whole week, like it's like a completely different Khat than we've seen in the other weeks. She's just right down to business, and it's I feel like
she's just being too direct.
Definitely.
And another thing that I we'll get to it later about the Joker and whatnot. But there's something I actually kind of liked about and it's the one thing I'll give Mitchell credit for.
Yeah,
is how Mitchell was able to suss out Courtney as the Joker. I think that's the one thing, and how he explained how he's able to connect it and whatnot. Because when he first said, "Oh, Courtney's the Joker," I was like, why? You just randomly, just assuming that Courtney was the Joker? But the fact that he was able to use, listen, I talked to the Joker, the way the Joker talked is exactly how Courtney talked. The Joker was very sassy. Courtney was very sassy. So that's the one thing I'll give Mitchell credit for.
Yeah, which we'll talk about.
I really like that, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, y'all, I'm eating and petting.
Are you making yourself a cake like you did that one time?
I didn't eat dinner yet. I'm just heating up some rice and chicken, and I'm about to make a little fat-free ranch dip. Don't just ignore me.
That sounds good.
I can hear everything, so I'll chime in.
Never
just
ignore
how, in the circle, there are points where they point out what they're eating, which is the one thing I don't take notes about because it's not necessary.
I love when they're eating, Mitchell will be eating some hearty meat to get his protein.
Yeah.
Well, something funny is that Saeed, I don't remember his real name, in the UK version, he goes every time Manrika would message him, he was eating.
Oh my God.
That's great.
And he go and again, there's a story that Saeed tells about how he almost set his apartment on fire when talking to Manrika.
Oh my God.
Amazing.
Because he was so.
I want to see what happens.
You'll see.
I gotta watch it.
It's fantastic.
When he actually revealed himself. Oh my God! All right, never mind. I'm stopped.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was my bad.
You're good.
No, you're good. Lee seems to bond with John immediately since he's a lot older and they have a lot of similarities. And then the players are told about a game called the Geek Sheet Quiz.
God, this bullshit.
Yeah. They have to be in two teams, and John and Chloe are the captains. And then John's team is Trevor and Courtney, and Chloe's is Khat and Mitchell, and they're all given nerdy costumes to wear, and John's team ultimately wins.
So here's one of my big problems with this season, and it's something that I really hope they work on. There is just way too much emphasis in these two episodes on the theme. They're focusing so much on this comp that means nothing. They're focusing so much on this other thing that they do in episode 10. And it's you're pulling time away from like the strategy and all the stuff that like we want to see. And I've thought about this, and I really think a way they can easily fix this is like that team that wins is immune from being rated. I think that creates a lot more team. It'll be a lot more interesting, and it actually would give us a reason to like want to watch these comps, because I'm watching them. I'm like, what the fuck is the point?
Well, you know what? Like, I definitely like agree with what you're saying, but like again, like on the flip side, in season 1 and even in the UK version, like I had no problems with the comps. I just thought they were just fun, stupid things to kind of break up the monotony of the episode. But like, I think again I really like that, because that would really add stakes to the game, and you know, like it would be. I guess people would be more strategical in the way they pick the teams. Yeah, because
I think it'd just be more interesting. Like we'd watch those and we'd be like, oh my god, who's gonna win? Whereas we're watching, we're like, all right, can we just like get to something else?
Yeah. So, but like in like even like in the UK version, I hate to keep on going back to the UK version, but but like a lot of those comps were like. People like I think what worked is that a lot of them were kind of anonymous. So like when you would say something or do something, it was anonymous, so you didn't know. So people use that as strategy to really like say something to kind of just mess things up in the game. So those games did have a purpose. You know?
Yeah, definitely. And I do agree. The one thing that is interesting about this comp, Jazzy did point out, is that there was a really good chance that Deleesa could have fucked up her game here when she looked at the 3 basketball players and almost blanked on like who they were. And obviously Trevor should know who they are. I really like the way she handled that, like the way that she's been taking notes and things like that. She's just really been killing the game. And like, I don't want to get into too much of like who I think should win, but like she really handled herself well there.
I think that definitely, easily my favorite, because not only do I think they are playing the best game, but they have the best story. Which is, again, a big knock that I have on the season is that there's like in season 1, Joey had a story, Sammy had a story, Shuban had a story, Seaburn had a story, like Chris had a story. So the whole final 5, I didn't care who won, because I would have been satisfied either way, because everybody had a story. In this one, the only one that seems to have a story is Trevor.
Trevor.
Like, I mean, like, I feel like what's, you know, Chloe's story, what's Courtney's story, why should I care if they won? In season 1, when the winner was revealed, I cared because they gave him a story or her. But they gave them a story and they gave them death. But in this one, like, again, like the reason like I would be dissatisfied if Chloe won is because there's really they haven't shown enough of Chloe's personality, in my opinion, to really make me want her winning, which is something I think they really did well in season 1, is they really got you to connect with the personalities of the people in the game. Whereas in this one, aside from Trevor, they really haven't done that all that well.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
That's true.
It's still you.
Oh. Oh my gosh. Lisa and Jack decide John's first private conversation should be with Lee, and they talk about River being single and how he needs to heal himself. This seems to go over really well with Lee thinking John is real and someone he can work with. And
I think that's definitely one of the most successful things they did as John, is forming that connection with Lee.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, because you're good with Lee, you're good with Courtney.
Yeah, and that's exactly what brought them to the final 5. Exactly.
Definitely.
And Chloe's feeling better with Trevor than ever and decides to start a private chat with him. She tells him how she feels and says if she were going to go, the only thing she's looking forward to is getting to meet him. And Deleesa's feeling bad that Chloe is starting to get so attached, but she knows she has to run with it at this point because of how deep connection it's become.
I love these two. I really do. I love seeing these two interact, and like I feel like I love that Deleesa like feels so bad about it, but like it's just been such an interesting story to watch. What started off as just like Chloe playfully flirting, it seems like she has genuine feelings for like Trevor right now. So like, I'm really excited to see her reaction when she realizes what's actually going on.
Yeah.
She's
gonna be like, what? What the hell?
She's gonna be.
I'm scared for her heart. Like she's being so sweet. She's like as sweet as Andrew Hayes after like 10 hours of sleep. Like she's
gonna be so shocked.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you, by the way, Chrissy.
10 hours of sleep.
I mean, he's always sweet, but when he sleeps, like I can't be like, bro.
That's true.
So here's the thing. Like, there's something exactly like this in the UK version.
Oh my god, here we go again.
Exactly. Like, stop. Like,
you're just up here spoiling it for them.
I got spoiled for me, so. Oops.
Actually, I mean, if you go on Twitter, everything's spoiled. I tried to like mute words and that didn't work.
No, yeah, muting words does not work. Trust me.
It does not. It does not.
It does not. And it pisses
I literally muted the word circle and like refreshed the page and it was like hashtag the circle. I was like, oh.
Yeah, it does not do shit. It's not.
Great job.
So, yeah, hashtag don't get muted. But anyway, there's something exactly like this that happens in the UK version. What makes, again, like,
it does not. Who's watching the stream?
Not me. I don't know. Anyway, what I wish was like, again, like I agree with what you're saying. It's very interesting because something like this is interesting because, like, again, like someone's catfishing and kind of playing with somebody's feelings. And again, that happened in season 3 of the UK version.
Mm-hmm.
What was interesting to me about, at least in the UK version, and I wish they showed a little bit more, is the person that was catfishing and playing with the feelings of the other player. They showed like they really explored how they felt that they were doing it, and like I thought it was interesting that like they just felt so bad doing it. They showed so much remorse doing it, and I'm not saying like, oh, you know, Trevor should show remorse for doing this, because again,
I
like
think Chloe did. I think I know who you're talking about, and I think Chloe's in like deeper emotionally than who I think you're talking about.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is I wish they kind of explored Trevor's whole thought process of kind of like playing with them, and you know. That's just something, again, like I wish there was more episodes to and more time to just kind of explore that, because that would.
Though she is killing it being a guy, like
she is
out of all the catfishes in the US version, easily the best.
Oh yeah, she hasn't been clocked like once.
Like even in like the first season, like Seaburn was a very good catfish, but Seaburn was also clocked as a catfish. People were questioning Seaburn as a catfish. With Trevor, no one knows. And,
definitely.
And I'll say this. Something I always hate about these trivia games is how fucking easy they always are and how much people seem to struggle.
Yeah, like the Toy Story one. Like, why did Mitchell think there were like 8 Toy Story movies?
Problems.
Dude, I am terrible at math, but I would have killed that math question.
That's my kind of question.
Yeah, I know there are 4 Toy Story movies. I know that Jay-Z has 99 problems.
Yes.
Like, I know all this. I know how many stripes are on a flag. I know all that stuff. So I would have figured, it would have taken me a long time to get to the end result, but I would have figured it out. But like the basketball one, I'm like, oh my god, I know this easily.
Well, of course you do.
What basketball?
I did not know that was Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan, though. I don't even watch basketball, and I knew that was Scottie.
Yeah. Exactly. Like everybody knows. My dad, who could give. Well, my dad kind of cares about basketball because I care about basketball. But like. My dad has he doesn't know much about basketball. He knows who Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan and Dennis Rodman are.
Yeah.
like
it's too easy.
Yeah, everybody knows who the Bulls were in the late 90s, like who the 3 main Chicago Bulls are. And like I don't know if they are purposely playing it up for the camera or they're told to play it up for the camera, but that's something that's always bothered me. Like it's season 1. They do like this whole Kevin, you would have like this whole emoji game where you got to guess the movie or or like the book or something based off the emojis. I think there's one with Sex in the City.
Well, I guess some people don't know who Scottie Pippen is.
That's okay, Jesse. That's okay.
Scottie Pippen was probably the hardest of the 3.
Yeah.
Dennis
No, well, everybody knows Dennis Rodman because Dennis Rodman was such a pain in the.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not only the hair, just Dennis Rodman was known for being such a pain in the ass on the court. Like everybody knows who Michael Jordan is, but I always remember Scottie Pippen as the guy who should have got paid a lot more than he ever did, and always was so underappreciated because he was always playing next to Michael Jordan. But again, this ain't the basketball talk.
This has now turned into a sports podcast. We need to redirect the conversation to
and don't forget from my autocorrect, it's a car podcast.
Yes, it's a car podcast as well, definitely. But
what's a car podcast?
Go on Twitter, you'll get the joke.
You know I don't go on Twitter anymore.
Andrew needs to fix her car.
You have to look through my tweets because I made a typo yesterday.
Yeah, you'll get it. You'll get it on there.
But, Chrissy makes fun of my car. And it makes me not sad.
Go ahead.
So the Kardashians chat, we see Courtney talks to River. He says he was feeling very uneasy after their conversation with Khat. They let Chloe know that they're going to protect her. And it seems like the three of them at this point are kind of unstoppable. There's nothing that they can't do in this game. And I do have to hand it to them. Like, they had an alliance very early on in the season, pretty much because of the fact that they were the ones that were eligible to be blocked. They've connected since then. They've been doing a really good job. Like, I know people don't want to root for the people that are in power, but like, I gotta give credit to those three because they've been doing a great job, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't have any issue with them. I just think they maybe they want to try to conceal it a little better. I don't know how.
And again,
hair, but I don't know.
And I'll get a little bit more into it when we get to the end, but we'll get into it. I'll get into it when we get to it.
Yeah, so we get this stupid fucking segment with like the winning team winning a pizza party. They have like beer hats, awards, and merchandise. I'm like, why are we focusing on this? Can we just like get back to the strategy? They get
is that when they play Pony?
And then we get the moment with John and the numbers, which we kind of already talked about. They seem to believe that like he's still a psychic, even though like he got the wrong number, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
But then we see Khat, and she tries to kind of cover things up here, basically doing what she should have originally done. She checks in with Chloe, thinking that Courtney and River probably told her about what was said. The second she makes the chat, Chloe seems annoyed. Like, she wants absolutely nothing to do with this. She's like, why is she talking to me? She hates the Khat, is claiming she tried to bait Courtney and River. And Chloe tells her that Emily did not come to see her. And while Khat still seems to be good with her, Chloe is pretty much just thinking that she's calling bullshit at this point. And nothing. Did absolutely nothing.
This episode made me not like Courtney as much. Like, I don't dislike him. It's just I didn't like how he dealt with that.
Yeah.
Because there was literally no point.
Yeah, he was definitely coming very hard for her, and he didn't really need to do that. Like, that was more of a Chloe and Khat situation. It's not really a Courtney and Khat and Chloe situation. So I don't think he needed to be. I agree with Jazzy here. Like, Courtney's someone I'm very iffy on. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh yes, Courtney's killing this game. He's doing a great job. But then he has these moments where I just think he's a little too mean, and he's just being like he's just being overly rude, and he's getting himself involved in things that he doesn't really need to be. And I get it. He wants to help his resume, but I feel like there's already a lot that Courtney's done. He didn't really need to be as involved with this as he was.
Yeah.
So finally, we're done talking about episode 9. 47 minutes in. We've only talked about one of these 4 episodes.
I have to sleep. Go ahead.
I know. We're going to get to easily my least favorite episode of the show, and that's episode 10. Immediately, you'll know why, because
that's not memorable to me. That's probably why.
Once again, this episode, just way too much emphasis on the theme. There's this presidential theme they're doing throughout.
That was really,
There's this Democracy Day. They're given like different opportunities to make specific decisions, and I just didn't give a fuck about this. Like, I don't know why. And I'm not saying like they couldn't have shown it, but there's so much that happens in this episode that is focused on Democracy Day. And like, I just don't care about it. I don't care that they're going to get this package with treats. I don't care they got this podium and all these flags. I don't care that Chloe doesn't know a lot about politics. I just don't give a shit. Like, it's not important. It's not important. Get to the stuff we actually want to see.
This
like
is
the next segment where
it's not president. It's not President's Day. It's a show.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
it's
again, like this whole episode just really emphasized why I like why I'm kind of like not like sour on the season, but why it's not as enjoyable to me is because again, like they put a lot of emphasis on this game and it just was boring and like I didn't care and I'd much rather have seen people building relationships and connecting and just more emphasis on the personalities of the contestants. They should get me to like Chloe more rather than this presidential thing. And like when I say I don't like Chloe or like I'm not like as high as Chloe on most people, I don't blame Chloe for that. I blame the editors and the producers because there's probably
this is not a political show. This is not a political
show. Like there's never will be.
I don't know who that is, but hi.
That's a viewer of mine that usually watches.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're usually around when I do like my other podcast, like award show stuff and things like that. So we do get this really good moment though with Mitchell and Khat, where basically he makes a chat with her, thinking that this is the most honest that they've been with each other, and he says he wanted to see where her head was at and wants to build like real relationships, but he doesn't want to come off as disingenuous, and it seems to be a very productive conversation. Khat says she wants to build an honest connection. They talk about how close that Courtney and River are, and they feel for sure that Courtney is the Joker, especially since River was the influencer. And I know you briefly brought this up, Andrew, but Khat agrees that the two of them are playing the game the best that they possibly could, and Mitchell wants this Final Four with like him, Khat, Trevor, and Chloe, which I don't know if that's going to happen now with the way Khat's been playing this round, but obviously he doesn't know that. I thought Mitchell handled this very well. I think if he stuck closer to Khat, I think that they really could have done some damage in this game. But truthfully, he didn't really talk to her much until this round. Like they came in together, they had a few conversations, but at least of what we saw, he did not talk to her as much as I think he should have if he wanted her to be like his number one.
Yeah, that was who she should have been talking to, like when she had suspicions like that, because
definitely
they had
and she probably would have felt better to talk to him if they had talked more.
Yeah.
Like at that point, if Mitchell had talked to her more, I think she probably would have just like asked Mitchell about it.
Yep.
The one spicier part, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, but the one spicier part of this episode was I think it was like pictures that they drew.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Trevor's.
Yeah. So Deleesa makes this chat with Courtney to check in to see how he's feeling about this week, and he tells her how Khat wants to try to block Chloe this week. And we see that Deleesa is very shocked to hear about this, and she doesn't understand, even she doesn't understand, like, why is Khat so gun-ho about Chloe? But she also doesn't know how to handle this. And again, this is a really good example of how good Deleesa is at the game, because she could have easily stuck up for Khat and been like, why are you coming for her and things like that, but she doesn't. She's fairly neutral about it. She's feeling very unsure really how she's supposed to feel, especially if she's so deceptive in that way, which she didn't think Khat was. This is not at all the Khat that she's been connected with. And that's the other thing. Like it didn't feel like Khat's game at that point. It felt like she got too involved with this, and it became the game that she didn't really want to play. And I like that even like Deleesa was acknowledging like this does not make sense.
I think she kind of felt it herself, because she made some statements like, I didn't feel so great. Like I need to focus more on my social game and actually building real connections instead of like, I forget what she said, but it was almost like she realized her misstep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately, it's like, I don't want to say jury management because there's no jury, but it's just social management. So much of that game.
It's rating management, I guess.
Rating.
There
you go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then there's Mitchell and John. They talking about how attracted he was to Emily, and which Jack and Lisa both laugh at. And then they talk about how Mitchell will eventually find someone. And then John brings up how Mitchell may cope with his troubles artistic expression and brings up his love of music. This is the first thing that makes Mitchell a bit sus of John. Is that he's psychic? He questions him on when he first discovered he had these abilities. John claims he started to feel throughout his childhood and then in his teenage years. It started to fully grapple to his abilities and felt misunderstood, and Mitchell seems to relate.
Yeah, I thought this is where John was going to get clocked. I thought it was going to happen here where Mitchell's like, something's not adding up, but they saved themselves really well, I think.
Yeah. They then start to talk more on strategic level, and Mitchell says he feels great with Khat and Trevor, but doesn't really trust Courtney and River, and doesn't feel they have their backs as much, and Mitchell seems to have enjoyed the conversation overall.
Yeah, it went pretty well with them.
And then the players are given an alert, and they're told to design another campaign poster. And they're supposed to create an image for a player with the slogan, and then best fits their campaign when circled, and then it's uploaded anonymously. While most of them are nice, Deleesa's poster pretty much is coming, and after River for being calculated.
Yeah, I think this is what you were trying to talk about before, Chrissy.
That was like the only cool part. That was it, really.
Yeah, I think this whole like presidential thing would have worked if it was only this and not this whole like episode long thing.
Yeah, like nobody cares.
It's literally just like filler.
Yeah, it was dumb. It was, especially when we have like a few episodes left. It was not necessary.
Exactly, like I agree.
Yeah, we're literally in the home stretch.
Yeah,
and like it's interesting what happened there, but again, like not really much came out of it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Deleesa starts to chat with John, which is usual. As Trevor starts off with talking about his family, Lisa feels really bad about how much they've been lying, since no one seems to be clocking the fact John isn't real.
I mean,
she was a catfish.
Yeah, that's been my thing with Lisa. Like all game, like she just I don't know. Maybe the circle just isn't the game for her. I don't know. I've gotten this sense for a while. I just don't think that Lisa should have ever played as a catfish because clearly she doesn't really like lying about it and things like that. So I just don't think that. I think that Jack did some good work here, but Lisa, their dynamic's fine, but not really.
I was wondering, like, why didn't she seems like a sweet lady. Like, I don't know, she just displays herself because even like when they asked her, even when she was being Lance and they were like, what are you going to spend the money on? Like, spend it on a charity. Like, yeah, say you're going to spend it on a charity. Like, she's like, no, I'm on a tour. And say,
yeah,
like, she just... like, I thought what would have been funny in that situation and is if obviously Justin Timberlake is the most famous of all the NSYNC members. Right. I think what they should have done, or what I would have done, was
Britney Spears took that over. Go ahead. Justice for Courtney.
Thank you.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go ahead.
No, I was just thank you for bringing that up because seriously, justice for Britney.
Free Britney. Justin too. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes. I gotta watch that still. I've
I gotta watch this documentary.
Your meme yesterday or whatever May was.
Yes.
But what I was gonna say is like if they were like, oh, I'm gonna spend it on an NSYNC tour, and then they're like, haha, just kidding. Justin Timberlake would be the one to spend all the money because obviously like he's the one that has the most.
Yep.
But there was actually a video of Lisa and Lance Bass. They were watching stuff that Lisa said about Lance Bass. And see how accurate it was.
I saw that, yeah. Well, I didn't watch it, but I saw that it was a thing.
Well, what was interesting is, and like this has no relevance to anything, but Lance Bass says I should have went in as Lisa, which I thought would have been cool, but like I don't know.
Yeah,
there were definitely
more interesting.
I just don't think Lisa's that good at the game.
Yeah, there were definitely things that Lance Bass even said, like, "Oh, Lisa, you should have brought up more about dogs or something like this," and like brought up this, and like that would have really connected people with me. But I think that was the problem, is that Lisa went in as Lance Bass.
Yeah, this whole game she's just been very, very disappointing for me, and I have not been a fan of her. But finally, after all this political nonsense, we finally get the chance to find out who the players are going to rate. However, with John as a new player, he is ineligible to be rated. Now, as usual, we don't get all of the rankings. I say this every single week, but I really wish they just post what everyone's like full ratings were, because that would be way more interesting. But we see that John puts River at number 1. He has Mitchell at number 5. River puts Chloe at number 1 and Khat at 4. We see Chloe puts Trevor at number 1. No surprise there. Mitchell all the way at 5. Deleesa puts Mitchell at number 1. And we see Mitchell puts Khat at number 1 and Courtney at number 5. Khat puts Chloe at number 2, which it's interesting considering, where Chloe is with her right now. Yes. And of course, Courtney puts Trevor at number 3 and Khat all the way at the bottom. And again, not too many surprises, I think, with the rankings here at all. I wish they would give us a little bit more time to see what everyone's rankings were. But then we get the best moment in the entire episode. You were wrong, Chrissy. The best moment is not the poster. It's when we get this alert that Democracy Day is over. Best part of is bullshit.
Democracy Day is over.
That's the best part. Because
I love that. We just got to that part when we're at an hour in.
I know, it's great. It's great. That was honestly pretty perfect. I wish I timed that. I did not.
Oh yeah,
you really can't time something like that.
I know. Yeah, I'm gonna be like, all right, at an hour, that's when we're gonna say Democracy Day's over.
I just imagine us talking about something that, like, we already talked about Democracy Day. An hour passed. Democracy Day is over.
Yeah, it's great. So Deleesa makes a chat with Khat to just see how their connection is going. Khat tells her how hard these last few days have been, which low-key, she kind of did it to herself, but it's all good. Trevor tells her to not forget how high she was rated last round, which, yeah, I mean, that's the thing that Khat really should have been cognizant of, is that she was rated pretty high last time. She should have done what she could, which is something that Chloe has been doing an amazing job with, to really continue getting that high placement. And she really did not do that this week at all. She made herself a much bigger target. So the conversation quickly shifts to Chloe, which Deleesa admits she took offense to, but now she feels like Khat regrets it, and Khat feels she's good after this conversation, which I don't know about that, because then the official rankings come out and we see Khat is all the way at the bottom. Not shocking, pretty much what we expected, but Mitchell is at number 5, Courtney at 4, River at 3, and then the two influencers for this round are Trevor and Chloe. And
I am very happy they are influencers, because they're like my favorite.
I was especially happy for Deleesa, because she's never been an influencer.
Yeah,
Deleesa.
Hard work pays off.
Definitely. But this definitely did show, like, Khat's probably going. Like, this is probably the end for her here. We see they head into the hangout to make their decision as to who they would like to block this round, and Allie's going to tell you what they discussed.
Yes. All right. Trevor tells Chloe this is going to be a really hard decision, and Chloe says she was so glad to see him at the top with her. And they first bring up Courtney, and Deleesa says it may be smart to go for him because he's a potential threat at this point. Mm-hmm. However, as Trevor, it's clear she shuts it down. They also make it clear they don't want River out of the side from him playing a very calculated game.
Which, again, I think was really smart on Deleesa's part. The fact that she thought with her head and not her heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Chloe's unsure whether or not she can fully trust him, and Deleesa says the two of them are always going to look out for each other. However, once again, as Trevor, she recognizes how close they are and how bad it would be to go against Chloe.
Yep.
Deleesa asks how she feels about Mitchell, and Chloe says, though she doesn't doubt if he's real, she doesn't trust him with saving her if it came down to it. Trevor says he trusts Mitchell overall and feels he would save her, and she wouldn't be a risk if it was up to him.
It was tough because I feel like the two on the bottom were closely aligned with Deleesa, Trevor.
Yeah.
And then
I think she brings that up later on in this conversation.
Yeah, and then the other two are more like with Chloe, but then they're like, is their main alliance the two of them like as a couple or whatever? It was tricky. Like I would have been interested to see like how many hours they were up there, like going back and forth.
Exactly. Like I don't know, like, and again I'll get into this. I feel like in order for Trevor to have won the game, they needed to get rid of either Courtney or River. But again, like this brings me back to there hasn't been enough time. We don't know what I don't really know what Trevor's relationship with Courtney and or River is.
Yeah, we haven't really seen them talk much.
Yeah, so like again, like I blame this on the producers, but again, like I feel like Trevor lost the game in that moment because, again, like Courtney and River are never gonna vote Trevor higher than third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Chloe pretty much won the game, and that's why I think Chloe's gonna win the game because Chloe's getting 2 from probably.
Oh yeah.
From them, like Chloe's getting a high rating from Trevor probably. So again. That's the moment where I think Trevor really lost, which kind of bums me out because I think they're playing the best game out of anybody.
Definitely. Especially when we get to the next week.
Yeah, but that's when I think Chloe, Trevor should have been more adamant about getting rid of River or Courtney or whoever. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 100% agreement there.
Definitely.
When bringing up Khat, Deleesa feels a bit conflicted because she really does like her, and her and Trevor have bonded very well. But it's clear Chloe is going to gun hard for her. As Trevor, he admits he is close with Khat. Deleesa says it feels like it's Chloe's alliance versus hers, and Chloe says she felt Khat was someone she could trust until recently. But Deleesa still feels she deserves a second chance, which she should have.
Yeah. Which the thing I also want to ask you guys is like, do you think she should have fought harder for Khat here, or do you think she should have let her go? What do you guys think?
Absolutely, because again, who knows where Khat rates Chloe in the ensuing weeks?
Right.
But I just felt like Trevor could have used Khat as a number because Trevor's not close with Courtney or River, and that way, like it's just again, like I would have been in that moment. I would have been thinking about the end game and who's going to. And I'll get a little bit more about that when we get to the last episode.
Yes,
but again, like the wrong decision was made for Trevor because Courtney and River are not rating Trevor in the top 2. I think there's a clear threesome, and you talked about it, Kevin. They haven't really been discreet in hiding it.
Yeah, it's been very. They've been very upfront.
So, like, I don't care. Like, a decision needs to be made. I would have been like, I'm not getting. I don't care if there's a stalemate. I'm not getting rid of Mitchell or Khat.
Right. It seemed like Deleesa was more concerned with I'm going to ruin my relationship with Chloe than she was really thinking about I have an ally that's going to rate me high and is going to help me in the next
exactly round. Like, and you know what, like again, like especially I think Trevor should have been more adamant on that because of the fact, you know, they do have a good relationship with Chloe. You know?
Yeah.
So again, like
Deleesa wanted. I feel like Deleesa wanted to. She was more concerned with seeming like the protective gentleman in that moment, like trying to play up because she's doing a great job, like playing a guy.
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel like it was more like, oh, I'm this like really good boyfriend who's gonna help my girl get out the girl who's like. It went a little bit more that way, where she was more concerned about protecting the catfish identity and their relationship, like Kev mentioned, versus like, you know, thinking about the strategy at the end.
Exactly, because again, like I said, like I don't know, I think they have a good enough relationship to where Deleesa could have been. I'm not saying completely aggressive. I'm not saying she should have been like, it's my way or the highway. I'm saying that she should have been a little bit more like adamant on being like, listen, I don't think getting rid of Khat is the right move.
Yeah.
And like, I personally think that something that's talked about a little later, the fact that Courtney was saying some stuff about Chloe when Courtney was the Joker. So like, I don't know. I don't know if she knew about that beforehand, which again, like, whatever, but like, that's something that I feel like I feel like the move should have been Courtney, especially since yes, Courtney is with Chloe, but Courtney is more with River than anything. So
Courtney's also gotten literally everything he's wanted up to this point. This would just be adding to his resume.
Exactly, and we'll get a little bit more about that later.
Yes.
But yes.
Oh, Trevor says he likes everyone left in the game, and Chloe says with Khat and Chloe says with Khat and Chloe and Trevor will be voted higher, but River and Courtney won't be, so it would give them an upper hand. Trevor decides that he will deliver the news. After careful consideration, the player blocked is Khat, sadly.
Yeah, which, I mean, we all pretty much saw this coming. She really kind of did it to herself, unfortunately. And I hate saying that because it's similar to Terilisha last week. Although I think the difference with Terilisha is that she had already done too much in the game to save herself, whereas Khat really was in a great spot in the game. She was rated very high, and she wasn't cognizant of the fact that, like, I need to continue doing what I can to keep getting rated higher than other people. And I think she should have done that and kept the Chloe thing to herself, maybe go to Mitchell about it. Just someone that trusts her more. Don't go to Chloe's allies about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Period.
That's what hurt her.
Khat was in such a good position. She could have won.
She really could have. Like, honestly, I thought she definitely had the potential to get really far in this game and maybe outlast some of the OGs, but
yeah,
I don't know if that's the case now.
But Courtney
and then her downfall. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying Courtney fucked it up.
Yeah, he did. He did.
And also, like, her downfall then, like, indirectly impacts Mitchell and Trevor.
Definitely.
Yeah. Exactly. Because I think, obviously, if Khat does a better job in, maintaining the relationship with Courtney, or Chloe, rather, and doesn't do what she does, Khat doesn't go. I'm going to be honest, Trevor probably wins the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that.
Probably.
Especially with, especially in that moment, I don't know, like River or Courtney probably go, or Mitchell, but who knows?
Before leaving, Khat is given the opportunity to visit a player within the game. She ultimately decides to pick Trevor. When she first sees Deleesa, she reveals the truth to her, which is thrilled to hear about. She tells her basically everything is real, aside from the single dad stuff. She explains to her about her connection to Chloe and says that she's very naive and trusts everyone. She said,
I think this was easily the most impactful of the one-on-ones that we've had so far. I loved the way this played out. And it was just really great to see both of these two interact. Like, it sucked. And it also just further underscored, like, I think how much they both need each other in the game.
Absolutely. And again, like, this, I think, highlighted that Trevor made a big mistake in getting rid of Khat.
Yeah.
She's going to regret that.
When she doesn't win.
Definitely.
She said it also took her a while to figure out that Courtney and River are so close, and Khat reveals to her how she feels River is a catfish. They talk about how they feel Mitchell and Chloe, Courtney and John are legit. She then reveals to her about the Joker and how it's clear it's Courtney. And Deleesa said she really did want to block River because though she feels good with him and Trevor, she knows they will never vote for each other. And Khat said she was to try to continue manipulating Chloe and to try and get Mitchell to become an influencer.
Which, again, this is all great, but she should have done this last round.
Yeah, exactly. Too little, too late, and you could have obviously used.
You could have saved yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think what Khat should have done and been like, hey, listen, like, what Mitchell tried doing is, listen, I think, I think Courtney is the Joker because of this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And use that to Chloe to be like, hey, Courtney does not have your best interest at heart. He may say that he does. It may seem like he does, but he does not. He is much closer with River than you, and then that kind of splits things off. That puts Khat in a better position. Well, certainly puts Trevor in a better position. But again, like I guess we will see who wins. But yeah. But I do think Chloe wins. But
yeah.
And if Chloe wins, I can't fault with how I can't critique how Chloe did things because Chloe won. Like.
She was she was social with everyone.
And that's exactly.
I think it's definitely a very deserving win. Like I said, I think it's she was rated so high like early on, and she continued to get there, and nobody really like did anything about it, and she didn't really do anything to rock the boat either. So like, I think it would definitely be a deserving win if she gets it.
Very cuter, younger British Chrissy. Social, not rocking the boat, just getting a fight with one girl, you know.
Wait, hold on a second.
Flirting with the girls. Or with
Did you say the Chloe was the cuter Chrissy? I disagree with that.
I said younger, but you're gonna say something about that too. So she's
not a cuter Allie either.
I thought I heard you say cuter version. I thought I heard you say cuter version of Chrissy. I go, no, that is false.
Cuter, younger British.
Oh, yeah, well, it's a younger British version of Chrissy, not a cuter younger British version of Chrissy. Let me tell you that.
Period.
After Khat leaves, Deleesa plans to do what she can this round to block one of Courtney or River, and so they don't continue further damage within the game. And the newsfeed is updated, and the players are given a new video from Khat. She feels her competitive nature of her being an athlete very much took over, and she says there's snakes in this game, and they have more than one head.
This is the other part where I'm like, I didn't really like the way that Courtney reacted to this video because obviously, yes, he knows he's one of the snakes, but like she's out of the game. You don't have to be so negative. I just thought he was a little too spiteful there, but we see they all are wondering who Khat decided to visit, and they agree that she was very genuine throughout the game. And Deleesa actually steps up here, says that she saw Trevor and that it was a very good meetup. And Deleesa doesn't like the fact that Chloe is being so straightforward within the chat and that she should have talked to Trevor about this privately. And they all wonder what Khat was talking about with the two-headed snakes. It gets Chloe to think maybe Trevor is who I don't know why she came to this conclusion, but she thinks maybe Trevor is the person that she's talking about. And Lee also identifies himself as one of the messy queens that Khat was referring to. We already are set in for a really interesting episode here. I think this week was far more interesting than the previous one for sure. There's a lot of good gameplay going on here, and we see that Trevor says he felt really bad after the blocking. He says the snake is still on the loose, and Deleesa feels this is going to be a good way to cover her tracks. It also gets Mitchell to want to message Trevor about this, which they are going to discuss that later on in the episode. But we see Chloe messages John and says that she herself goes to a psychic all the time and is having some withdrawal. And he does a reading for her. The first card suggests she's dealing with like a difficult phase that'll come to a close. Her present card suggests that to reach her goal, some adjustments may be required, which makes her think she may need to switch her game up a bit to ensure that she stays on top, which like you don't have to do anything. Like literally you're playing a winning game. There's nothing else you need to do. But her future card suggests that new opportunities will present themselves with thorough contemplation. She asks him how she should know how to look out for the two heads. And John basically tells her that it will show through their actions, which Chloe is really unsure what to do about this. And again, not a lot of strategy from John here. And this is the thing, like John's doing enough to where he's not a target, but Jack and Lisa are not doing enough to where John could be rated higher than anyone left in the game. And I think that's the thing I'm talking about this John twist. Like,
do they even like make a suspicion Lisa and Jack? I forget. Like, do they even talk at all about who the snakes could be?
Not really.
I don't think so.
It doesn't seem like their mind is on the game. It seems like they're just kind of like vacationing.
Yeah. And you know what? Like Jack and Lisa are like they're going to be fifth place.
Oh yeah, 100%.
One is definitely
there's no way there's no way they get higher than 5th place, and if they do, something's really wrong.
The only way I could see them getting higher than 5th place is if River or Courtney rate them higher to put I guess just kind of push more people. Yeah, I could see because that's kind of that's a real strategy is rating. Let's say, for instance, River or River rates Courtney and or Chloe lower because to just kind of push them down a little bit more. That's the only way I could see John getting higher than 5th, but again, with especially with something that happens and in the final episode of this week, I don't think that's happening.
Yeah, I don't think so either. There's no way. There's just no way. So we see Courtney and River. They have this conversation about Khat's message. Basically, they're just going to disregard it, which is good. That's probably something that they should do. And Courtney asks what he thinks of the players still left. Says he feels really good about John. And River agrees, but says his heart belongs to the Kardashians. And he brings up Mitchell, which is what Courtney really wanted to talk about. He tells River that the Kardashians is his number one priority and that Mitchell hasn't spoken to him very much at all. They don't really have much of a relationship, and he's definitely someone that they need to watch out for. Courtney hopes that they can get I don't know why I said River. They can get Mitchell at the bottom of the rankings this round. So again, Courtney just getting everything he wants, kind of running the game here. I think if there was a jury in this game, I think Courtney is probably in the best position to win because he's kind of just running shit.
He's doing the dirty work for everybody.
He really is. He really is. And
Courtney's still
I do think that there's a part of it where maybe someone's bitter and they put him kind of low on the rankings because of it. But I think he's been doing a really good job. Like I said, I think he's been overdoing some of you can tell he wants to be a villain. You can tell he wants that villain edit. And I think he's been doing a little too much in regards to that, but overall, you have to be impressed by the way that he's basically getting everything he wants.
Yeah, well, the problem I have with how Courtney is playing is you got to be likable to win this game.
Yeah, he's not likable.
Take a look at who wins season 1. Take a look who Chloe's probably winning this season. Chloe's in the eyes of people playing the game very likable.
And until the next episode, we really did not know much about Courtney aside from him playing the game.
Mm-hmm. What'd you say, Chrissy?
You really don't like her for some reason.
It's not that I don't like her. It's that I don't like how she's been edited. I don't like how she's been edited, and I don't like how she's been shown on the show.
So it's like a purple edit.
It's not even a purple edit. I just think that the parts that they're showing for Chloe aren't the parts that should be shown for Chloe.
Okay. Right. I do agree with Jazzy here. I could see him I could see people being very
I can see that.
Yeah. It would be if they just all the stuff they showed from Joey last season was him being Pauly D, like Chrissy said.
Yeah.
That's how that's how it would be. And I just I'm frustrated with the editing of Chloe because I really do want to like Chloe. And I do like Chloe. It's just I don't like how Chloe has been edited and been shown on the show.
They're not giving her a winner's edit, yeah.
They're not. And the reason I will be disappointed if and probably she does end up winning is because they haven't given me a reason to want to root for Chloe. Trevor is the person that I want to win because Trevor has they've shown in the edit Trevor has been playing the best game. Trevor has the best story.
It's showing more emotion, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I love so much about season 1 is that everybody had emotion. Everybody had a personality. What?
Which is probably why I don't feel that way because I haven't seen season 1.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Season 1's great.
Oh, you never seen season 1?
No, this is the only season.
It's Kevin. It's really good. You're really.
Yeah,
you'll love it.
Definitely gonna watch after this season.
But that's my issue at large with this season is I really want to like Chloe, and I do, but I should be loving Chloe, especially since she's such a main character on this season, and the fact that she is probably going to end up winning. She's been a huge part of the season, but they show more of Courtney and River are going to end up losing, and it's going to annoy me because, again, like, I want to see more of the winner. I want more of a reason to like the winner, and I should be happy with the winner. That's what they did so well in season 1, is that, again, like I said, it didn't matter which one of the 5 finalists won. The editors gave me a reason to want each of the 5 of the people who made it to the final 5 to win. And obviously I preferred others winning over some other people. That's just how things are. But, like, again, at the end of the day, what?
Shuby robbed.
Yeah, Shuby.
I was team Sammy and Shuby.
I love Sammy too. I like Sammy too.
Shuby was the best. But
she's from my area. The 2 brothers and her, they're from Conshohocken, is like 15. Actually, Rob's family's from like that town.
But so that's what I'll say about Chloe, is that, like, I actually really I didn't like Chloe in the beginning. She did grow on me like everybody else, but still, like, there's more to be desired from the way Chloe has been edited.
Yeah, I get you. I get that, definitely. I pretty much agree with this, though. Like, I'm with Jazzy here, definitely.
Yep. Same.
Those are definitely the 3 that I'd want to win.
Yep, Trevor's my favorite.
And even, like, I'll go back on, like, I love Trevor, but, like, I think in a way Trevor's been a little bit under-edited.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think not until this week did I get the sense that, like, oh, Trevor's going to win the game.
But that's that.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I do got to really pee, you guys. You don't have to wait for me. I just
all right.
Oh.
So we get probably, I think, the best, the most
Cue Chrissy saying something about me peeing.
We get the most interesting.
What happened?
I said I wasn't going to, but now that you said it, yes, he has no bladder. He drinks too much soda.
Listen, I can't control.
Hey, it's not as much as there was this guy I just played a week long round with, and, like, every single round, it felt like he had to go to the bathroom.
Who?
Drew.
Oh.
Yeah. Every round, it's like I gotta go to the bathroom.
The runner-up.
Yeah, the runner-up. Yeah. So Allie's going to talk about what's probably the most interesting gameplay going on this week that could have really shifted things, but didn't really happen.
All right. Deleesa checks in with Mitchell just to see where his head is, and he seems to still be good with her. And Trevor says when Khat came to see him, she dropped some bombs and brings up how she feels Courtney is the Joker and that he was throwing Chloe under the bus, which is sad because she coincides Courtney, one of her best friends in the game, and Mitchell says that this makes sense because who else would trust River being an influencer? And he says he's always had a gut feeling he couldn't trust either of them because they're always looking out for each other, and Trevor says they only look out for each other and they're playing a dirty game, and they both agree they need to let Chloe in on this, and they can't let them know they are onto them, and that he doesn't feel Chloe is right to know they are against her.
Yeah, and again, this is one of those things where it's like, it's really good strategy, but I feel like they're doing it a little too late.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Their plan is simple. They're going to act cool with Courtney and River so they don't think either of them are onto them.
Good luck with that.
Right. And then they're going to get Chloe to trust Mitchell to share something personal with her. And then they're going to form a group with her known as the Trifecta, and then hopefully can get one of them blocked. Deleesa feels confident they can pull this off. Well, we'll see.
And I loved this strategy. I loved the two were teaming up. I was like, okay, we're finally going to see, one of them have to be vulnerable because they've basically gotten everything they wanted in the game. I really thought they were going to pull this off, but
me too.
We'll talk about what happens.
What do I have to talk about?
We're talking about the plan that Deleesa and Mitchell had to block one of Courtney or River.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I actually loved this scene. I loved it a lot just because it really showed how Deleesa was such a great game player and how smart she was.
Yeah.
And they had me fooled for a second. I thought it was going to work, but it didn't. And again, I can't blame Chloe because Chloe probably going to win, like I've said many times. But I'm telling you, I wanted this to work so bad because if this worked, Trevor's the winner. And
Trevor wins.
I want Trevor. I've been a Trevor fan since day one. There was something about the story about the actual Trevor and the kid and just how Deleesa was playing. There was something that I really just enjoyed about that. And since day one, you can ask Chrissy. I really like Trevor. I really like Deleesa. While everybody was like, I like this person, I like this. I was a Trevor fan since day one. And I really wanted this to work because I really wanted Trevor to win. But
yeah.
I know. The players are then told it's time for the Circle Awards, and this is just another filler.
Well, sort of. We actually get some good stuff from this.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, is this the Academy Awards or whatever?
Yeah, it is the Circle Awards.
Chloe gets sexiest player. Courtney wins funniest. Best performance is Mitchell, and then lifetime achievement for kissing ass is Mitchell and River. And Mitchell is not okay with this at all.
What I find so funny about the scene is when River does get best ass kiss or whatever. He knew it was coming, and I just love how
he embraced it.
He embraced it, and he goes, I know this is me. This is me.
Yeah, then Mitchell was River knew, but Mitchell was like, he was not here for it.
It's not inaccurate to Lee's game. I mean, Lee's the guy who's cried at every fucking blocking. So
that's true. Yeah.
That's
he's a very emotional player. So I feel like that's pretty accurate. Mitchell getting best performance though, that was interesting because I feel like Mitchell's been one of the more straightforward people.
Yeah.
He hasn't really lied a lot. So it's interesting that people
that was tactical.
Not the case.
Yeah, and that's something I didn't enjoy about this segment is that it wasn't as enjoyable as the other segments like this just in the past in all games that I've seen of the Circle, where it's people they just voted Mitchell because they don't like Mitchell.
That
was tactical. Yeah, that was not a legit.
It didn't really make sense.
No, it didn't.
Do you guys mind if I go off cam but keep talking? I have to.
No, you're all good.
You're fine.
We're not going to see you, but
what do you got to do?
I have to make my bed. Look.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to show you how messy our room is. I'm literally trying to take a day off Friday to clean my house.
All right. This is Chrissy's recreational activities when she's in the circle, making the
bed. Let's start the give Chrissy.
That game was 9 hours long.
Oh my god,
insane!
That game is
at least when I played Culture Clash, I had the day off and I could just sleep whenever I wanted.
All right.
Trevor tells River.
Oh look, Andrew's next to the person that should win.
Oh,
period.
Was. Trevor tells River that hoping he's not upset about the award, and he said he found it funny. Deleesa feels bad because she knows River trusts Trevor, but it's just a game.
Yeah, definitely. So we see Mitchell makes this group chat with Courtney and River. He decides to try to tug at their heartstrings so they feel better about him. He tells them how he feels alone and people feel like he's some kind of performer and doesn't know what people are seeing that they don't like. This had very much Big Brother energy when you have the alumni players being like, oh, you don't know what goes on in the house, so you shouldn't come after people. This was ridiculous. It was the definition of just white people problems.
I have plenty of those.
We see that Lee is touched by this, but let's be honest, Lee is touched by literally anything that you tell him. And we see Courtney's very unaffected. He's already has decided to block him this round. I honestly don't think, though, there's anything that Mitchell could have said to change Courtney's view, because Courtney already made it very clear, I want Mitchell out, and he's feeling all high and mighty, which he pretty much should at that point because he's gotten everything he's wanted, and Mitchell feels this was very successful, and then one step closer to forming the trifecta. This was a fail. This was definitely a fail.
It was a total fail.
Yeah, they were so big.
Yeah, which makes me sad because Trevor should win.
Yeah. Yeah, so he then tells Trevor he's completed the first 2 phases of the mission. We see that Deleesa is delighted that, there's one part I forgot to read where he messages Chloe and he says he doesn't know how to feel about the awards. He wants to try to get to know her better. He says he feels like people, again, he goes on this whole thing where it's like, oh, people prejudge me when they meet me. They see a few pictures online and they feel I'm cocky and egotistical. And I'm just here like, bro, you literally have a fucking Confederate flag in your background. Like, shut the fuck up.
I mean, you put a picture of you jumping into a river. If you're going to show your bare ass like that, you better.
Yeah, like, not the best.
Like, let's be honest.
And he needs to
he's very problematic.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like before that came out, I didn't think anything, but like now knowing that, it makes sense definitely. Yeah, hearing this conversation, especially.
Seeing like people like Mitchell and I guess Ed and their mom makes me want to go on the show and be like, let me show these guys how to play this game correctly.
Yeah. So he talks about how he feels the same way that people feel he's. So we get this actually really good conversation with him and Chloe, where basically she says when people see her social media, they always assume that she thinks she's better than everyone else, which isn't true. And this is one of the things I've liked about Chloe is that she used to care what people thought of her when she was younger because she was bullied, but now she knows to love herself. And I think one of the things I've enjoyed about Chloe throughout this entire game is that she's very down to earth. You know, you look at Chloe, you think she'd be kind of like self-obsessed because she's like a reality star already and things like that, but she's very human and very down to earth. That's something I've always admired about her in the game.
And like again, like this brings up my frustrations on the way the show was edited because I would like more of the stuff of like
this.
Like this where it's like, oh, I wish people didn't judge me, you know,
right?
Like, I need to learn to love. That's the stuff that especially like most in the circle is like the stuff like that, like.
Yeah. That's like more what season 1 was.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what made it special, like especially for people that read like social players, and it was just like more genuine in that.
Yeah, like that's why I think I liked season 1 and even the UK version a lot more. Is that it felt more genuine. It felt like the people cared about the relationships that they made. Like people would say, "Oh God, I wish Shuby. I really hope Shuby isn't a catfish. I really hope Shuby is real." And this one, it's more about, oh, let's get out all the catfish. And
there's too much emphasis on the catfish. And at this point in the game, like if you're pressed about the catfishes, it's like you're not focusing on the right thing.
Like exactly. Like I don't know. Like I just always had this like thought. Like why did they care so much about the catfish? I get you don't want a catfish to win. But like your goal should be to build connections with as many.
It's like a reason to target someone, probably.
Yeah, it's a good reason to target someone. But like I don't know, like. Let's say I am playing with Trevor. Trevor's my number 1 ally. I find out that Trevor's a catfish. I'm going to be honest. I'm still going to be working with Trevor because like that's still someone that I can rely on.
Right. It doesn't make your connection null and void. It's not like say the catfishes are in the game to like mess up other people's games. That would be different if that was the case. And but, like, I get literally they're just playing as someone else.
Exactly. Like, and I get like the people that are like, oh, well, like. I don't know, maybe it's not genuine if it's a catfish, but more often than not, when we see someone reveal themselves as a catfish, the person they had genuine bonds with, they still had genuine bonds with them.
Right. So we get this really good moment where Chloe basically says that the friend going to her makes a lot more sense now. She says she feels, especially when he reveals that he's a virgin, which actually has relevance now. We were wondering last week, why the fuck did they bring this up? Now it makes sense. And she says she sees him in a much different light now and asks if he's stayed that way because he hasn't found the one. He says he generally just hasn't found the one that knocked him off of his feet. This wins her over, and he loves the fact that we're able to have this conversation and that Trevor came up with this idea. And she basically says that Trevor is her circle lover while Mitchell is her circle brother. And I like that. I like that connection a lot. I liked the scene.
I'm flirting pretty hard with him in the beginning.
Yeah. I just wish Mitchell wasn't so Mitchell.
Yeah, like, and again, like that's like a kind of more of the stuff that I wish that I saw. I loved seeing these moments in season 1.
Yes.
Like that's just what I like seeing. That's what made me care about the people playing the game. You know, like it gave them personalities. It just gave me a reason to root for people. I don't want people to root against the Go Far.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, exactly. So the players are then given this alert that the final blocking is going to take place tomorrow. And if they survive, they will become a finalist. And the players that make it through to the finale, they're going to win 100K. And it's really getting down to it. We're in the home stretch here. And basically, Mitchell then has this conversation with Trevor that he has completed the first 2 phases of the mission. And Deleesa is delighted to hear about this and says that it's time to finally let Chloe know the truth about her. They need to add her to the chat and go from there. And Trevor immediately gets down to business. He doesn't even be like, hey, welcome to the chat. He's just like, all right, we need to tell you what the Joker said. And they're convinced that it's Courtney. She seems very taken aback by this, understandably. But Trevor explains how convinced they are and how they truly are only looking out for each other. Chloe says this does make sense because they came straight to her when Khat was asking questions, but they were looking out for her, or at least she thought they were. And she tells them, though, this is a lot to process. She seems to overall trust them. However, in reality, she trusts all of them. And that's the thing about Chloe that I think has always been really good, is that basically everyone except for maybe Khat even Khat, though, has been on good terms with her. No one's actively been gunning for Chloe.
She trusts all of them.
They were never gunning for Chloe ever. And basically they are all then told it's time for all of them to make their final pitch for why they should win the circle. And the thing I'm going to ask you guys is do you think that Deleesa should have immediately added Chloe to the situation, or do you think she should have waited? How do you think she should have done this?
As in, telling her about Courtney?
Yeah, because she immediately, brought it up.
I don't have an issue with how it was handled, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, I think she did
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't think she did anything wrong here. I think, again, it was just a thing where, they should have done this earlier on. And I think if...
Yeah, too little, too late.
Yeah, if she had done this earlier on, I think they really could have made something work here.
Absolutely.
But obviously,
you started the conversation quickly, but it's also they already had that type of relationship where she could get right into it like that, and the groundwork was already set with Mitchell as well because of the intense conversation they had.
Yeah.
Whereas with Khat, she was still kind of new,
Yeah.
I agree with what Chrissy said.
I wish that it worked.
Me too. It could have been great. But we get to the pitches now, which Allie's going to talk about.
All right. Jack and Lisa go first as John, and they say they will spend the money on his husband Terry with his kids and bring them on a trip to the North Pole, but really wants to bring them on a tropical vacation. The players all seem to like this pitch except for Chloe.
I would have hated this. I would have absolutely hated this.
I don't really like it either, just because you just want to go on one vacation.
Yeah.
People are great, but nothing else.
It has to, I feel like the only reason they like this pitch is because they like John. That's literally what it is.
Exactly.
They have nothing but love for John, so they just love everything he does.
Yeah, and I feel also if John went kind of later, they would have seen how just kind of deep everybody else's were, and they would have made theirs a little bit better. So I think they kind of did just kind of get screwed there where they had to go first.
Yeah, because this is a very casual pitch compared to the...
Yeah, because you especially compared to Trevor's or even Rivers. Rivers I'm going to do this. And then...
And even Chloe's, also Chloe's.
Chloe's is the best.
Oh, Chloe's was really good.
River goes next and says he will pay off his student loans and then use whatever is left over on a car so he doesn't have to take a bus to ask people for rides to school. And the players all feel it's a genuine pitch.
And again, props to Lee. Nobody's onto him at all, and I think
they really are.
Impressive. I think didn't Khat say maybe? Because she gone. So
no, Khat never thought it was that he was.
Khat only thought
she thought it was Lance and Emily.
Yep.
Those are the ones she was onto. Never River or Trevor.
Chloe says if she wins, she will spend it on paying off all her family's debt. buying her brother his first car, putting a deposit down on a house, and finally supporting her dad's addiction recovery charity. She says her dad going into rehab completely changed their lives for the better and helping him would mean the world to her. This one was really touching.
I loved this, but again, like this is something I would have liked to know a while ago because it would have connected us to Chloe a little bit more.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Trevor goes next, and Deleesa says she's spent so much time away from her family just so she can come back and give her daughter what she needs. She wants to spend it on a down payment for a house for her daughter. She wants her daughter to have the life she didn't.
And this made me want Deleesa to win because, like, you think about what's at stake for her and, like, what she can do with this money. It's not just, like, doing things for herself. She wants to provide that, you know, house for her child and things like that. And that's the thing that she's done so well is that she really hasn't lied all that much. All she's really lied about is obviously the connection with Chloe and that she's a dude. That's it. Those are the only things that Deleesa's really lied about. Other than that, it's basically been her life. And she's done,
exactly.
I think that's one of the reasons why she's pulled it off as well as she has.
And that's why
I seen any of her Instagram lives and how, you know, she's manners with her daughter and she's very rootable.
Yeah, she really is.
Definitely.
Where she, you know, she's trying to do the whole product line thing, but she's ultimately just a cool mom.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I love her.
We love her for it.
Mitchell says if he wins, he will spend it on a charity that friends and him started, which is a toy drive for kids in hospitals. He will also create real estate for health to retire his parents. While everyone seems to like it, Chloe feels it's just a tactical response which plays into his game.
Yeah, this was a laughable pitch for me. Like, I'm gonna give it a toy drive. Like, what are you doing?
Like, yeah. And Courtney goes last and says if he wins the money, he will spend it on his stepdad. He was abandoned by his biological father, and he taught him how to be a man, and he's suffering from stage 3 kidney disease. And winning means celebrating his life. He says this is the reason he wanted to enter the circle in the first place.
And again, where did this come from? Like, why are we just hearing about this now? This should have been, like, in the intros where, like, they're talking about why they want to be there. Like, he should have brought this up. Like, tug at her heartstrings and give us a reason to root for him. I really like this pitch a lot. I just wish we...
Oh, no, like, I've never disliked him. I just didn't like how he handled the Khat situation, and obviously he's gotten a little too cocky.
Definitely.
Exactly. Like, something they do in season 1 is they, like, throughout the whole season with Chris in season 1, they bring up all the time he's doing this for his mom.
Yeah.
And like even in the UK version, Manrika always brings up I'm doing this for my mom.
Yeah.
And if we would have just known that, I think our opinions of Courtney would have been very different throughout the season.
And they could have, like, the same thing goes with the Chloe stuff. It's like I want to know that she's here for her dad. And you know what? Like, the only person they kind of do this to is Trevor, which is why Trevor is the most rootable, because Trevor's the only one with this kind of story.
Yeah.
And I think to be fair, there were some players that went earlier. Like, I think they could have tapped into that with Savannah a little bit because she also came from, like, adoptive parents and things like that.
Exactly. Yeah, but absolutely.
Went too early, so they couldn't really do much there. So the players are then told it's time for the final rating. However, this time it's from lowest to highest we see. So we have, once again, I don't know the official rankings for everyone. This is going to be an issue for me every single week until they finally listen to my complaints.
The tough shit. Just when you watch any fucking season of The Circle.
I just wish they'd release, like, the full rankings. It'd be so interesting if we got to know who everyone ranked. But just give me a ranking chart. Like a voting chart. Give me a ranking chart. Put it on fucking Google Docs or something and just Anyway, Courtney puts Mitchell at 5. Not surprising. He's wanted him out the whole time. He puts John at 1, which I thought was interesting. I thought he put, like,
that's so weird,
but okay. We see Chloe puts Mitchell at 3 and puts River at 1. Probably because at this point she doesn't know where her and Trevor stand. It seems like.
I think so too.
We see with Mitchell, he puts Courtney at 5, River at 4, and Trevor all the way at 1. We see River puts Trevor at 5 and John at 1. We see John puts Trevor at 5, Courtney at 2, and River at 1. And then Trevor puts Chloe at number 1, obviously, and then Mitchell at 2. So again, this plan would not have worked. Which again, we'll talk about why it doesn't work anyway. But if this was a normal round, this would not have worked because if you can tell, River's rated very high for a lot of people. They could have potentially sniped Courtney here, but I feel like River probably would have been one of the influencers, and it was not going to happen.
Yeah.
So they receive another alert that for making it this far in the game, they're going to get these messages from home, and these were great. I love them. Yeah, especially getting to see like Deleesa's family and things like that. It was great.
They were just really sweet.
I'm disappointed we didn't get to see Lance Bass releases.
I thought we were going to.
That would have been pretty cool.
And I thought for Jack we'd see the real Emily.
Me too.
Like that would have been cool.
That would have been really cool.
Yeah, we didn't get to see that, unfortunately. But basically, it's time for the final alert. They're told that today the ratings result will not be revealed and there will not be 2 influencers. Instead, the player that was rated the highest will become a secret super influencer. That player will make the sole decision for who they're going to block. And basically, the top player, no surprise, is Lee. And worst case scenario, if your name is Mitchell, he weighs out all of the options, but he wants to make the decision as Lee and not River. He knows that he can't do that. And so the problem he has is that Chloe and Trevor are connected, and they would go in the ratings to make each other number 1. If he takes either of them out, it will move him up further, which I kind of feel like maybe he should have done. I think that probably would have been the best thing for his game. I mean, because at this point, there's no more ratings like until the ending. So like, why not just risk it? Mitchell's a free agent, and John is new, but he also would rate River highest. And he feels if he blocks Courtney, he would also put him at the top, but he feels he will win over him. And he's told he is to block the player face to face, we find out. After this, he ends up deciding to block Mitchell. And do you guys think this was the right move? Because I was very iffy on whether or not this made sense for River.
I think for him, the best is Mitchell or maybe John.
Yeah.
I could understand why Lee blocked Mitchell because Mitchell was obviously blocking Lee last. My issue with this is it didn't give him the win. I don't think this gave him the win.
Absolutely not. It did nothing for him.
Really not gonna win.
Breaking up with Trevor.
Honest to God, if I think in order for him to win, he might have needed to block Courtney or
Courtney. Yeah, he definitely.
Courtney absolutely.
God, yeah.
But
Courtney's definitely getting rated higher. I think, especially if like he talks about like what he did. I think he's definitely like getting rated higher. And I do agree with Jazzy here that like they probably should have gone to John rather than Chloe. I agree because
that's a good point.
Yeah,
and that would have actually like forced Jack and Lisa to play the game, which I think would have been interesting too. But
exactly,
basically, he goes to meet Mitchell, and Mitchell at first thinks he's John, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
So he finds out that he's River. He's shocked. Mitchell tells him that he doesn't like meeting him this way. And Lee says he really did struggle with this, but he chose him because he really didn't know who he was going to vote at the end. Mitchell tells him that he did ultimately make the right call, and Lee feels he waited a bit too long to start playing the game, which I would definitely agree with. I think he definitely should have started making moves a lot earlier, and he did not. Mitchell asks why he went under a catfish, and Lee explains about the pen name, and that would be interesting to see if he could do it, and that he's also a huge fan of the show. And Mitchell then takes the time to reveal his connection with Ed and Tammy, and Mitchell says it sucks that he's blocked this close, and he asks who else he's close with, and he tells him about like the Kardashian group and that they have been bonded for a long time. And at this point, it's like an unbreakable trio. And he says he also feels good with John, even though his catfish radar absolutely sucks, which I mean, that's not shocking. He's been off this entire game. They hug it out, and Mitchell is told that he's officially blocked. And we say goodbye to Mitchell, which is good. I don't want Mitchell at the end. I will say that. I don't think this was the right move for Lee, but I also don't want Mitchell at the end because of what we found out.
Yeah,
so it's fine. Get him out of there.
I'm more. It's like the thing is like, again, like the only reason I wanted Mitchell to stay was to give Trevor to win.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, because he definitely would have rated Trevor pretty high, I feel like. So basically, Mitchell's told he's officially blocked. The players are also notified that they are also told that they have made the final. Tomorrow, everyone's going to meet face-to-face, and meaning that Chloe, Courtney, Deleesa, John, and River are all in the finale.
Yeah, I always, like, I mean, in the 2 seasons I have watched season 1 and then season 3 of the UK version, I've my favorite part has been the part where they all meet face to face, because it's just always so interesting to see people's reactions, especially with the catfishes around.
Yep, especially Chloe and Trevor. That's what I'm excited to
exactly
see.
How
like, gonna react to that? Is she gonna respect it? Is she gonna like freak out? Like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
I really hope Chloe or Trevor or Chloe or Deleesa can win.
Yeah. But like, I'm also interested to see how Courtney reacts to Lee, or how everybody reacts to Lee, or how people react to John being Jack and Lisa.
Right.
Like, that's gonna be funny.
Like that's always just my favorite. The best part about that's always been the most interesting part is seeing how people react, or even like not even like people reacting to the catfish, just people reacting to the people who are real. Because Amy reacting to Shuby like being real, like that was just so genuine, and so like it just filled me up with so much joy that everybody was happy to see Shuby was real.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But I also wonder what it's going to do for Deleesa's game in terms of Chloe. Is she going to respect Deleesa for this, or is she going to be bitter because she just spent a whole season, liking someone that turns out not to be real? I'm wondering how Chloe's.
I mean, well, he's real, but he's married.
Right.
I think like the best thing for like I just hope that Chloe and everybody realizes that Deleesa was being Deleesa just as Trevor.
Exactly. That's the thing. She was being herself. She just was under a different name, and she flirted with Chloe. That's really it. Like everything else she did was was basically just her story, and I think that's probably why she was the most successful catfish. Because there were even
they
just have a connection. Like
exactly
that like.
Exactly.
Like Lisa could be married to Trevor and just be like cool with Chloe. Like, that's
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely. I think that it's going to be interesting to see how all of them do react. The Courtney and River one as well. That's going to be really interesting when Courtney realizes his number one.
Oh my god, River!
A 60-year-old guy.
Yeah, like that. Like that's why like River or Lee has been so interesting to me. Is that like. Yeah, like that's like why I think like
in that picture, like I don't know,
like how someone like Deleesa is so successful as the catfish, because Deleesa's being Deleesa, just with the name as Trevor and using Trevor's pictures. The reason why Jack failed, I think, kind of hard as Emily is because Jack wasn't being Jack. The people who do so good in this game are the people who are themselves, which is why I would never be a catfish, because I don't know how to be anybody else other than myself.
Yeah.
True.
Like I mean, I know how to be Lady Gaga and Ernie, and that's about it. That's what my catfishing knowledge.
Your third is Ernie.
Dude,
did you vote out Ernie, Kevin?
I wasn't in that one. I was in the other. I did vote out Lady Gaga blocked me. So
let me tell you something. Hold on. Let me air some dirty laundry real quick.
All right, we're gonna give you the spotlight.
All right, listen, hold on. So I was the sole influencer as Lady Gaga that round, and you know what? I was
wonderful story.
I'm not done. I'm gonna go until my story is told. Listen, I was told that Gilbert Godfrey was coming after me by multiple people. So I made sure Gilbert Godfrey was dead fucking last, and that I was number one. Well, guess what? It turns out that I was the only one, and I did not waste my decision. I knew it was Gilbert Godfrey, and who does it turn out to be? Kevin. So I immediately message him, and I'm like, I got you. And he gets so mad that I blocked him. Like, he's like, why didn't you talk to me? This could have been prevented. Like, motherfucker, you could have talked to me too instead of coming after me. You're just mad that I used the fact that
I didn't know what I was doing. I never played before.
I didn't know what I was doing either, but I used the fact that Lady Gaga is such an icon for my advantage.
No, you're right.
I almost won one of those seasons.
You did.
That was the same
you
one.
played it too? Who were you?
I played as Quinn in one of them.
That was the same one.
The reason I had picked her was because I remember like Dane used to make all those like Quinn Chapel jokes.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm gonna play with her.
And then I was Ernie the next season because who doesn't love Ernie from Sesame Street?
I don't know who doesn't love Ernie, but again, who doesn't love talking about this season of The Circle? Definitely. We got to get back on track here. Again, in terms of who I think is going to win, I do think that definitely Chloe is probably the one that's most likely to win. I also would probably say Courtney, I feel like, is very likely to win.
Courtney has an outside shot.
I definitely don't see Lee winning here. There's a possibility, but I feel like it's a very slim chance overall. But definitely I will agree with Andrew that I think in terms of who's played this game the best, it's definitely Deleesa. I think
the reason I am so convinced that it's Courtney is because even in like season 1 or the season 3 of the UK, people always think about going, let me rate so-and-so lower because that will give me higher in the rankings, but they end up just rating them higher anyway because that's just how it is. So that's why I see Chloe. I could see Lee going, maybe I should rate Courtney or Chloe lower because that will put them kind of lower, maybe boost me a little bit up. But again, I just don't see, because people talk about that, but they don't ultimately end up doing it. And that's why I think that Chloe. I also
feel like Lee is just an emotional guy and he's not going to go for
exactly. And that's the only way I kind of see Trevor winning is if kind of just people rate people lower and kind of rate Trevor higher. And just that's the only way I really see Trevor winning. But even then, I think Trevor has a very outside shot. If it's not Chloe, it's probably Courtney. And then I would say maybe Trevor. But
I will say I just
don't really see John or
John.
No way John wins.
I don't see John.
John is definitely getting 5th.
If John wins, this season is cracked.
I think he is.
John definitely doesn't win, and then I really just don't. I don't see Lee winning.
Yeah, I don't.
I think it's Chloe 1, Courtney 2. Trevor and Lee possibly interchangeable for 3 or 4 depending on what happens, and then John.
I think so too. John's definitely at the bottom. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
I will say I do want to go back to this comment from Jazzy because she did bring up a good point that Chloe does have a story here because she did almost go home round 1.
Exactly.
And that's actually very similar to how Shubi played, or Shubi's story.
Yeah. So she definitely does have a really good story to win. I just think personally Deleesa's is the more interesting one. And it's also I don't know if y'all heard about this, but apparently on her YouTube, she's been talking about how there was some big change in her life and people on the circle kept mentioning something about a fan favorite spot. And she's the only one that didn't bring it up from this season. So people are kind of suspecting maybe she won.
That's what I was reading today.
How I saw on Lisa's, she was asking for votes. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. And she's the only one that hasn't been doing that.
Lisa's, and I didn't see her post anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
Looking at reality TV's.
Well, apparently on her YouTube, she said something we finally bought our own house, and what has she been wanting to do?
That's true.
So
this was 5 months before she was on the show, though.
We'll see.
Yeah,
you could be trying to bait them.
But I would be fucking ecstatic if Deleesa won.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, we would be pouring one out.
I would be I'd be going to the liquor store down the street.
I hope she
turn it up for Trevor.
Yes, turn it up for Trevor. We would love to see that.
I would also, you know what? And I would have done the same fucking shit for Shuvi.
Oh yeah,
I would have done the same.
I did hear people.
I would have been doing it for Terilisha.
I would have been doing, and you know what? I would have been doing the same fucking shit for Saeed too.
Yeah,
turn up.
Not a Manrika stan.
I love Manrika, but there was something about it was Saeed's personality that won me over.
I like Manrico, but I like Saeed.
I've heard a lot about
Saeed just was backing me up the whole time. He was quite the character.
Manrico's a lot like Chloe, a little bit more strategic player.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that she's like a more strategic Chloe.
Manrico, what I loved about how they handled Manrico is that they showed Manrico was such a smart player and so strategic, but they gave her personality, they gave her backstory, and that's why I really enjoyed Manrico.
Definitely. Yeah. It's going to be really interesting to see what really does end up happening here. I think there's a lot of possibilities, and it's also going to be weird to only have one episode to talk about. It's not going to be a 2-hour video.
One?
Yeah, there's only one.
Yeah, it's only one.
Oh, that's lame.
No, I hate.
I think they should have literally just.
We're only gonna have like one or a little bit.
This was so short compared to the last one.
You know what? Like I literally binged the whole season, like what, a month ago, 2 months ago?
Yeah.
The one or
the season 1.
And then or the UK or that.
The US.
Okay.
And like I felt like it took me longer to finish that than it took me longer to finish.
Definitely.
They really. Know why.
I really wish they would have just done like 2 episodes a week. That would have been much better.
Yeah.
Than, like
that's
4
true.
And then 1. It's a little jarring. It's a little jarring that we only have 1 episode left already when it feels like the season just started, because it kind of did. But anyway, we're getting off track here. Before we do wrap things up, we are going to get our outros right now. Andrew, I'm going to spotlight you again, but I promise you this time, I'm actually going to keep you on. I'm not going to put you backstage. So go ahead, plug your socials, even though you don't use them. Go ahead.
Do I have to plug my socials?
I mean, like, I have it here. So
okay, you could follow me on Twitter, I guess, at @VicKimHayes. I promise that I am not very active on it anymore because I don't know. Yeah, I just don't use it. Instagram, I'm a little bit more active. Sometimes I post pictures of my dog, so that's nice.
Stan Hershey.
Yeah, Stan Hershey.
Yes.
All I'm saying is if there's one season or one thing that the season taught me is that I would absolutely kill it on the show.
Yes, I could see it. I mean, you did really well as Ernie. So
yeah, I did do really well. Maybe that's what I should fucking catfish as.
Yeah, you play as Ernie.
Or you can just catfish as Lady Gaga again.
Yeah, maybe. Ooh.
They did do a celebrity circle, so I could see them potentially doing that. But anyway,
anyway, if seriously, I don't know. This made me really want to apply to the show this season. Only to show it'll literally only be like, I could easily win this.
We love to see it. Last week we inspired Jen and Marcelo to make a podcast, and now we've inspired Andrew to apply for the circle.
Yes, we're just good at inspiring.
Honestly, look at us. Look at us just inspiring people. Now, Chrissy, if there's any way we inspired you, go ahead.
I don't know. I'm kind of a lot older than y'all. A lot of my life goals have been made.
How I feel about that.
I'm getting a puppy soon.
Yay!
That's fun.
Okay, it's over there.
Yeah.
That is my Twitter. I am a little less active on Twitter, and less around the times where I'm playing a game and there's some soon. So I'm kind of there. But I look back and check my messages. So you can follow me. I have protected tweets, so you really have to search for me. This was a lot
on my Twitter, you'll find it.
All 3 of these humans are very wonderful people who I haven't seen in a while.
Yes.
So, that was cool. And yeah.
Yeah.
Ew, I usually have more to say. I think I'm really just tired. I played.
Yeah, this was a long video for sure. This is actually, I think, the longest one we've done, which is not surprising considering how much.
The only I'll say this. The only reason I do not deactivate Twitter.
Andrew, what the fuck? Get on. You got to post on your YouTube.
Listen. No, hold on. First of all, thank you, I guess, for watching my channel. I haven't uploaded since Invisible Man, which you're right.
I love how this person used your full name.
Andrew. Thank you. Thank you for spelling my last name right. Thank you.
No, that's not how it's spelled. It's spelled like this. This is how you actually spell his name, right? That's
and all I'm saying is that I don't know. I don't know. Listen, I'm serious. I saw this movie recently called The Father, and I feel like maybe I need to talk about it.
Well, you should, because that's an amazing film.
And then also Kevin spelled with a Y.
Oh yeah, that's how you spell my name.
But listen, the only reason I haven't deactivated Twitter is so I can still tweet nice things about Chrissy.
Yeah, and so you can block me.
Oh my god!
That's how you spell Allie's name.
You're right, Chrissy. I haven't done it in a while.
Don't fuck with it.
Yeah, I swear to God, Kevin.
There, that's the best I can do.
No, Kevin. Oh no.
Wait, yeah, there we go. All right, we're getting carried away here. Thank you guys for watching.
Honestly, wait a second. We should also we should all come up with our own podcast together.
Yes, that'd be fun.
Oh, I don't have the time to do that.
That'd be fun, but
I would love it, but I do not have.
That'd be fun though.
Anyways, that's it for this episode of Conversation with Kely. As I said, in our Big Brother Canada one, we are going to be back for the Wednesday episode and for the finale. Look forward to both of those. Chrissy, you need to catch up because it's an iconic season for sure, and you definitely need to get on that.
My favorite is Victoria and Keeper.
Wait, Kevin, I got a question.
What's up?
When should I start watching Big Brother?
This season, you should.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, this season's a good point to start because fucking Robin Cass is gone.
Yeah, this season's great.
Yes.
All I'm saying is that now that I have played the game of Big Brother online, I don't know. It makes the show more interesting.
You definitely should watch it.
That also makes me want to go on Big Brother because I don't know. There's something about playing Big Brother and getting third. Shoots your confidence up.
Definitely, but anyways, guys, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys in our next video, and we will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.
Thanks for having me.